Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, last week we finished Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verse, the first verse of the Vijitānandābhivaṃsa group. Today we are going to do the rest of the verses in the Vijitānandābhivaṃsa group. So are there any questions from the previous discussion?
Yes, I have a question, Bhante.
Yes, Dr. Brian.
So it's about line breaks. So do we need to pay attention to the line breaks between the first and the second and the third and the fourth for the Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verse, Bhante? So I mean, can we break it in the middle of some samasa or a long word?
Yes, we can break any verse, not only Vijitānandābhivaṃsa, any verse you can break in the middle of samasa or in a long word.
So and then we have follows the rules that we had before, Bhante.
Yeah, which rules? Like the rules we learned about the line break?
Yes, because like in this case, we don't have like, the ganas anymore. So how do we know where to break? So we just break right there, Bhante? It doesn't matter like if the first syllable of a long samasa or should be in the middle of the samasa for it to make sense, things like that, Bhante?
No, we have to compose so that the line break is there in only in appropriate places. Like in Arya verses, if one syllable or two syllable are if extra syllables are there, we can keep them as they are, and we can consider them as not Arya but as Vipula, not Pathya but as Vipula in Arya verses. But in these verses, in Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verses, we have exact number of measures which should be in every line. So we cannot do that. We cannot keep extra measures in any line. So because of that, we should use the words so that the line break is done in only in appropriate way.
Right. Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Any other questions?
Bhante?
Yes.
May I have a question?
Yes,
so
of course.
in Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verse,
yes.
Is this not under the rules of Gana Niyama and Yati Niyama?
No, Bhante, no. Not under the rules of Gana Niyama and Yati Niyama, because Gana Niyama and Yati Niyama are for the Arya verses. So only for the Arya verses actually, because in Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verses we do not find any Yati, any word break. We don't have word breaks in the Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verses. So the Yati Niyama is only in Arya verses, and the Gana Niyama also. What we learned as Gana Niyama is that how to put groups here and there in the Arya verses. So Gana Niyama is also only for Arya verses. So then something to add is that the Giti chapter, the Giti type, whole Giti type is a variation of Arya type, isn't it? Giti type is as same as Arya type. So in Giti type also, we have to use those Gana Niyama and Yati Niyama. But after that, we don't use them anymore.
Oh, so Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verse and Arya verse are completely different, right?
Yes, Bhante, completely different.
Okay,
completely
thank
different.
you. Thank you.
Okay, Bhante. So some of you had composed verses from Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verse. They were very nice. So I have given comments to some of them, and some of them are still remaining. So let's go to the today's lesson. It's the Opachandasaka verse, Opachandasaka. We finished Vetaliya verse, now the second one is Opachandasaka. Let me show you the Vuttodaya text. Yeah, here is the Vuttodaya Pāļi text. We are in the second chapter, Matta Vutti Niddesh Dvitiya Parichcheda, second chapter. So we finished whole Arya chapter, Arya sub-chapter or the Arya type. And then we finished Giti verses also. There are 4 verses in Giti. Giti, Upagiti, Uggiti and Arya Giti. We finished them also. And now we are in the Vetaliya chapter. So there are 9 verses in Vetaliya group. From those 9 verses, number 29 to 37, there are 9 verses. So from those 9 verses, we finished Vetaliya verse, and now we are going to learn Opachandasaka, and then there is another verse called Apatalika. There are 3 main variations of not variations. There are 3 main different verses in Vetaliya chapter. They are Vetaliya, Opachandasaka and Apatalika, and then the rest of the verses are variations of Vetaliya verse itself. Rest of the verses are variations of Vetaliya verse itself. So they are also namely, the 32nd one is called as Dakhinantika, and then 33 Udicchavutti, 34 Pacchavutti, 35 Pavattaka, 36 Aparantika, and 37 Charuhasini. There are 9 verses, so we are going to learn those 9 verses today. So let's go to the book. So here is the Opachandasaka verse. I'll recite the verse first. Vetaliyopaṃsa muketaṃ Opachandasakaṃ raya yadante. Vetaliyopaṃsa muketaṃ Opachandasakaṃ raya yadante. Line break is there after the word tang. Vetaliyopaṃsa muketaṃ is the first line, and then Opachandasakaṃ raya yadante is the second line. So, is there any volunteer to recite the verse?
Okay, but let me do this.
Okay.
Let me try. Yeah. Vetaliyopaṃsa muketaṃ Opachandasakaṃ raya yadante.
Okay, Bhante, very nice. So this is the Opachandasaka verse. What is Opachandasaka verse? Let's go to read the meaning. That which is like Vetaliya in the opening.
Hi,
that
Bhante.
Which is like, yes.
I'm sorry, but you're sharing a different document, Bhante.
Oh, sorry. I'm sharing a different document. Now?
Yeah, it's good now, Bhante. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. So the meaning is that which is like Vetaliya in the opening. The opening of the verse should be like Vetaliya, but has Ragana and Yagana at the end. At the end of each line, there should be Ragana and Yagana. This is called as Opachandasaka. Let's check word by word. Vetaliyopaṃsa mukhe. Vetaliyopaṃsa mukhe. Mukhe at the beginning or at the opening. We use the word opening as a synonym for beginning. Beginning of a line is also called as opening of the line. Okay, so mukhe can be translated as opening or beginning. So in the beginning of a line, Vetaliyopaṃsa, it's same as Vetaliya verse. Vetaliya verse, Upama means simile. So someone which has the simile, which is called as Vetaliya. So something which has a simile called as Vetaliya is called here as Vuttodaya. So in brief, Vuttodaya means something which is similar to Vuttodaya. Something which is similar to Vuttodaya. So the beginning or the opening of the line should be as same as Vuttodaya verse. So what does this mean? As same as as same as Vuttodaya verse. It means in Vuttodaya verses we learned that the odd lines, in the odd lines, there are 6 measures at the opening. There are 6 measures in the opening. Or in other words, there are 6 measures at the beginning of the line, beginning of the odd lines. And in even lines, there are 8 measures. In other words, first and third line, there are 6 measures at the beginning, and second and fourth lines, there are 8 measures at the beginning. So this is the thing which is meant here. Vuttodaya mukhe at the beginning. In Upachandasaka verse also, at the beginning, there should be same rules as Vuttodaya verse. And then after that, what happens is that in Vuttodaya verse, after those 6 and 8 measures, there are Ra, La, Ga, Ragana, Lahu, and Garu. But here, what is the difference is that Raya, Yadante, Raya, Yadante. Yadante should be separated as Yadi Ante. Yadi Ante. If Yadi, if Ante at the end, Raya, there are Ragana and Yagana. Ragana and Yagana at the end. Then Tang, that verse is called as Upachandasaka. So in Upachandasaka verse, in the line setup is like this. First line, there are 6 syllables at the opening, and then there is a Ragana and Yagana. Second line, 8 syllables, Ragana and Yagana. Third line, again 6 syllables. Sorry, I'm using the wrong word, not syllables, measures. First line, there are 6 measures, then Ragana and Yagana. Second line, there are 8 measures, then Ragana and Yagana. Third line, again, there are 6 measures, then Ragana and Yagana. Fourth line, again, 8 measures, then Ragana and Yagana. So this is the Upachandasaka verse. So you can, if you focus and think, the only difference is that there is an extra heavy syllable at the end. That is the only difference. There is one extra syllable, heavy syllable or heavy measure at the end. Yeah, you see in Vuttodaya verse, in the first line of the Vuttodaya verse, there are 6 measures. Then there is a Ragana, and then there is one Lahu and one Garu. Ra, La, Ga, one Lahu and one Garu. So here it says that in Upachandasaka verse, there is not Ra, La, Ga, but Raya, Ragana and Yagana. So Yagana is, the structure of Yagana is Lahu, Garu, Garu. Lahu, Garu, Garu. Light, heavy, heavy. So you see here, when you put one heavy measure at the end of the Vuttodaya verse, then the Yagana is there. In Vuttodaya verse, Ra, La, Ga, Ragana, Lahu, Garu. Put one extra Garu at the end. Then Ragana, Lahu, Garu, Garu. Lahu, Garu, Garu is a Yagana. So if you put one extra heavy measure at the end of the Vuttodaya verse, in every line of the Vuttodaya verse, then Upachandasaka verse is there. So let's check the measures. Here, Veta, Li, Ve 2 measures, Ta 2 measures, Li 2 measures, then 6 measures are there. Okay, 6 measures. Then Yopamang is the Ragana. Yopamang, Garu, Lahu, Garu is the Ragana. Mukhe Tang. You see, Mukhe Tang, Lahu, Garu, Garu. Light, heavy, heavy. It is Yagana. So 6 measures, then ragana, then yagana. This is the first line of the Veda, Upachandasaka verse. In the second line, O, 2 measures, Pach, 2 measures, Chan, 2 measures, Das, 2 measures, all 8 measures, Upachandasa, 8 measures. Then after 8 measures, Kang Raya. Kang Raya is the ragana. Garu, lahu, garu. Heavy, light, heavy. This is the ragana. And then Yatante is the yagana. So this is the Upachandasaka verse. There are no word breaks. So any complexities here, it's simple as Vetaliya verse. The only difference is that there is one extra measure at the end. One extra measure is added at every line, at the end of every line of the Vetaliya verse. Is that clear for you?
So, Bande?
Yes.
Here I heard you translate yat. There you translate it as if. So is it is yati or is a pronoun which?
Yeah, Bhante Anand Jyoti has translated it as which, but I refer to the Burmese translation. This can be separated as yadi ante and yada ante also. When, yada ante, when. You can translate, you can take the word as the indeclinable yada, nipata yada also. And you can take this as the pronoun young. Yad is actually as according to my knowledge, it is a Sanskrit version. In Pali, there is no such pronoun as yad. The pronoun is young, ya pronoun. Yad ante, yadante. Yeah, then the word there is young. The pronoun, relative pronoun young ante. But then again, the question is there. You are giving the meaning of. We have to give the meaning as in which verse. In which verse these rules are there. That is called as Upachandasaka. Then you are going to give the locative meaning to accusative to accusative case, because it is young ante, not yasming ante or something like that. Not yamhi ante or yasming ante, but young ante. So the case is accusative case, and we are going to give the meaning. We are going to take the meaning as locative. We are going to take the locative meaning. So that problem is also there. So I preferred the Burmese method of disjoining the word. Yadi ante. Yada ante also is also correct. Bhante has taken it as yad ante.
So I think like this Bandis is also okay, no? Because this Vuttodaya is based on the Sanskrit.
Yes. It can be. It can be. We can consider so, but another problem is that you said here are the Chanda Shastra version and the Vrittaratnakara version. So in the Vrittaratnakara version, it's the verse is like Paryante Riyau Tathaiva Sheshang Aupachandasikang Sudhibhi Ruktang. So in the Vrittaratnakara version also, that the relative pronoun yad is not seen. So if that was there, then we can consider it as so. But now in the Vrittaratnakara version also, the pronoun is not seen. So actually, as you mentioned, we can take it as young also. Then we are giving the locative meaning for accusative case, and we can take it as the indeclinable yada, and also we can take it as yadi, if because you see in other verses also, in Arya chapter also, we frequently met the word yadi. If these rules are there, if these conditions are there, then this word then this verse is named as such and such. So all three are okay, I think.
Okay, thank you, Bante.
Okay.
Yeah, hi Bante.
Yes, Dr. Ryan.
So when we take it as the yard, as in Sanskrit, why do we have to take it in the meaning of locative, Bante? Because in the translation of the Bante Anandajoti, then he take it as the so he connected with the word Vijitānandābhivaṃsa. So that's why he translated as that which is like. So it's in fact a nominative. It's not locative.
Yes, but there is another thing like this. If you take this as the relative pronoun ya or young, and you connect this young at Vijitānandābhivaṃsa, then that is correct. Young, which was Mukhe Vijitānandābhivaṃsa. Mukhe, in the opening or at the beginning, young, which was Vijitānandābhivaṃsa, which verse is like the Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verse. Okay, we can do that. But take a look at the second line. Opachandasakang raya yadante. In this line, the subject is raya. Ra group and ya group are there at the end. So if you cannot connect that young with raya, if you connect it, you have to connect as locative case, locative meaning. We have to take the locative meaning. If we connect that young to something, to any word in the second line. So looking at the first line, actually, as you mentioned, we can take it as the subject, and it is in the neutral gender, and we can connect it with Vijitānandābhivaṃsa. But when you look at the second line, you cannot take it as young. So
and then Bante, so why should we do that? Because like in the first line we have the word mukhe, and in the second line we have the word ante. So why do we need to take the word yad in the sense of locative? So we don't need to take that in that sense in the second line, right? Because in the second line we already have the word ante.
Yes, in the second line we already have the word ante, but the problem is that the subject of the first line and the subject of the second line are different. In the first line, the subject is Vijitānandābhivaṃsa. In the second line, subject is raya. Ante, at the end, raya, ragana and yagana are there. So which verse, like we cannot give the meaning as which verse ragana and yagana are there. We have to give the meaning as in which verse ragana and yagana are there at the end.
I see.
See?
Okay, I see. Okay.
So that is the problem. So actually we can of course take it as young, as Syale Punyachari also mentioned, because you see here the relative pronoun thang is also there, no? Thang is there. So usually we take the pronoun ya where ta is there and ta where ya is there. So of course we can take it as ya also. And as I mentioned before, we can take it as yadi or yada also.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Bante.
Okay. Then There is one, there are many examples. There are many examples from Vijitānandābhivaṃsa, from the book called Vijitānandābhivaṃsa. This is a latter work by Mahathera. So in Pāļi canon and in Pāļi canon, Upachandasaka verses are not seen. And as Bhante Anandjoti mentions, in other places also, like in commentaries and sub-commentaries also, they Bhante hasn't found any example for Upachandasaka verse, but in this Vijitānandābhivaṃsa, he has presented 3 examples from Vijitānandābhivaṃsa, and he has mentioned in the footnote that there are about 100 verses, 100 Upachandasaka verses in Vijitānandābhivaṃsa. So you can refer to that when you are free. You can go and read them. So let's check one of them. We are not going to check all 3. Just let's check one. So here, do 1 measure, the 1 measure. First, I will recite the verse. Dutta nijjhara chamarani lena sisire kūta bhujehi kijjakūte hari buddha rahari dehadhari viharanto karunakaro kadachi. So this is about Lord Buddha, and the meaning is difficult. So let's just check for the Upachandasaka rules here. Do 1 measure, 1 measure, nij 2 measures, 4 measures are there, and then ja 1 measure, ram 1 measure, 6 measures, 6 measures in the opening. Then chamara is the ragana, chamara is the ragana, nile na is the yagan. So here actually na is short, na is a light syllable, but we consider the ending measure as heavy. Whether it is light or heavy, we consider it as heavy. So here the actual structure is the jagana, nilena, light, heavy, light, but we consider the ending measure as heavy. Then the group becomes yagana, light, heavy, heavy. So that is the first line. In the second line, sisi re, si re 4 measures, ku 6 measures, ta 7, bhu 8. You see, up to here there are 8 measures, and then je hi gij is the ragana, je hi gij, garu lahu garu ragana, jaku te is the yagana. So after 8 syllables there are ragana and yagana. Then hari bhu, hari 2 syllables, 2 measures, bhu 3, dha 4, ra 5. Hari Buddha 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What has happened here? This is a third line, so there should be 6 measures. Hari Buddha 4 measures, then Ra 5 measures. If this Ra is long, then there are 6 measures, but it cannot be long. Can someone check this verse in Vijitānandābhivaṃsa?
Yeah, but then according to the analysis of the Anandajoti, then he also showed that there are only 5 measures, right, Bhante?
Is that in footnote?
No, I mean, when he do the curve and the flat lines here, so he just showed, no, it's above, Bhante. Please move up, Bhante. It's the 5 curved lines.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Here the symbols are given as 5.
Yeah. The 5
short ones. So then this should be considered as an exception, right? Yeah, usually there should be 6, but here there are only 5. And then hari de is the ragana, and then hadhari is the yagana. So here this is an unusual place. So then let's go to the 4th line. H, 2 measures, run, 4 measures, to, 6 measures, ka, 7, ru, 8. After 8 measures, naka, ro is the ragana, kadachi is the yagana. So that's the Upachandasaka verse. This is an example for Upachandasaka verse.
Pandya.
Yes.
I think is maybe that the Tira he's writing is not correct. Because I checked. You see,
Okay.
I checked. You please read the chart. So I already sent. It's the same as Pandit Ananda Jodi.
Oh, in the book
same.
also it's same as Pandit Ananda Jodi?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Like if you put Nigahita somewhere, like in a place like this, Harimbudhara. Actually, I also cannot imagine the meaning of this word, Haribudhara. Hari Dehadhari is also, but Haribudhara. Like if there is M here, Harimbudhara, then it's correct. There are six measures then, Harimbudhara. Okay, however, then let's go to the next.
So,
yes, yes.
How about is Hari, not a Hari? So if it's Hari, that means attractive, charming. It's non
Yes,
R.
yes, yes. That's also can be done.
But if it's short R, Hari is something like one of the Hinduism god. I don't think it's that one, no?
No, not that one, of course.
So that means I think it's a Hari. It's not a Hari.
Hari. Hari means like.
Hari means charming, attractive, right? Attractive and charming.
As I can remember the word Hari, yes, the word Hari is for a Hindu god, and also it stands for the as a synonym for swan also, right? Gold.
Yeah, they have the gold.
Yeah, gold is also there.
So but you see Hari Puttara Hari Dehatari. So maybe it's this one.
Hari Hudhara.
I mean, according to the verse, you see, the following they also have the Hari, right?
Yes, following also Hari.
So if it's a Hari Buddha, how we translate? So Buddha is like a mountain, right? Oh no, it's not a mountain. What does mean Buddha? I checked only Buddha.
Yeah, you are correct. Bhudara, the word Bhudara is for mountain.
Oh, so that means long U, not a short U. That means golden mountain.
Yes, golden mountain.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we can, that can be the word, maybe Haribhudhara. Like the Lord Buddha's body is like a golden mountain. Right? Haribhudhara, Haridehadhari. Hari means the charming or attractive body. He has a charming or attractive body, which is like Haribhudhara, which is like a golden mountain. Then it's correct, right? Haribhudhara, 6 measures. So for now, let's consider that as the correct version of the verse. Haribhudhara. Okay, thank you, Syale Mujachari. So you can check these 2 examples also when you are free. So the third verse of the yes.
So have you seen any examples where the line breaks between the first and the second, like in the middle of the the long words, because here the examples, all of these three examples, I mean the line breaks is between your two separate words. All of them are two separate words, not from, in between a long word.
Yes, in these examples, they are only after one word. Line break is done only after word ends. But there is not any obstacles to do the line break in the middle of the word, right?
Right,
There is
yeah,
not such a rule. There is not such a rule, so we can do that.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Then the third verse of Vijitānandābhivaṃsa group is Āpātalika. Āpātalika katitāyaṃ bhaggante yadi pubbamivanyam. In Burmese version, it is bhaggante yadi. After this G, there is one A here. Bhaggante. It's also same measure count, so no problem. You can take it as bhaggante or bhaggante. Āpātalika katitāyaṃ is the first line, and then bhaggante yadi pubbamivanyam. Can some of you recite it? Āpātalika katitāyaṃ bhaggante yadi pubbamivanyam.
Okay, I'll try, Bhante.
Yes.
Āpātalika katitāyaṃ bhaggante yadi pubbamivanyam. Okay,
very good. So there was one mistake done by one of our friends, so I just remembered it, and I think I have to tell it now, otherwise I will forget it. So when you deal with these Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verses and all other verses in Mattā the chapter, we use the word measures instead of syllables. We deal with measures. So at the beginning, in the opening, there are 6 measures, not 6 syllables. Please keep that in mind. Not 6 syllables, there are 6 measures. In the second line also 8 measures, not 8 syllables. We don't use those words like that. So please keep in mind 6 measures, then ralaga. 8 measures, then ralaga in the Vijitānandābhivaṃsa verse. So that was a little mistake done by one of you. So in Āpātalika verse, let's read the meaning. If the meter is like the other, if the meter is like the other here refers to Vijitānandābhivaṃsa. So this meter is like Vijitānandābhivaṃsa meter, but has a bhagana and 2 heavy syllables at the end. This is called as Āpātalika. You see the difference is that the beginning or the opening is same, 6, 8, 6, 8. First line 6 measures, second line 8 measures, again third line 6 measures, fourth line 8 measures, 6, 8, 6, 8. And the ending, or we call it cadence, right? I'm not sure this pronunciation is correct. Cadence. This word cadence is for the ending. Am I correct? Is that cadence? I think that's pronounced like that. So cadence is the ending of the line. So ending is different. Ending at the ending, bhagana and 2 heavy syllables are there at the end. After the 6 measures, let's take the first line. In the first line, after the 6 measures, there is a bhagana and 2 heavy syllables, bhagana garu garu. In the second line, 8 measures, then bhagana garu garu. Third line, 6 measures, bhagana garu garu. Fourth line, 8 measures, bhagana garu garu. So this is the structure of Āpātalika verse. So it said that Āpātalika katitāyaṃ. Ayang, this verse is Kathita, called as Apātalika. Apātalika Kathita Ayang. This verse is called as Apātalika. Which verse? Bhaggante Yadi, if. Yadi, if. Bhagga Ante, this should be disjoined as Bhagga Ante, Ante at the end, or in the cadence. Bhagga, Bhagana, Ugga, Garu, Garu. Bhagana, Garu, Garu are there at the end. And then Pubbang Iva Anyang, Pubbam Iva Anyang, Pubbang Iva Anyang. Other characteristics is like, Iva, like Pubbam, previous verse. Like here, previous verse refers to Vetali. Actually, Vetali and Upachandasaka also the opening is same, right? Opening is same. So in Apātalika also the same opening is there. 6-8-6-8 opening. Vetaliya, Upachandasaka and Apātalika opening is same, but cadence, so the ending is different from each other. In Vetaliya verse, we observe the ending as Ralaga, and in Upachandasaka verse, we observed it as Raya, right? Ragana, Yagana. In Apātalika verse, the ending is as Bhagana, Garu, Garu. So that is the difference. We already checked the meaning of each word in this verse, and let's check for the rules here. A, pa, a 2 measures, pa 2 measures, then 4, t 5, li 6. After 6 measures, there should be a bhagana and two heavy syllables, right? Ka, kati is the bhagana. Garu, lahu, lahu, bhagana. Ta, 1 heavy syllable. Yang, 1 heavy syllable. You see? Then this is the first line of the Apātalika verse 6. Bhagana, Garu, Garu. Then the second line, Bhag, 2 measures, Ga, 2 measures, 4, Gan, 2 measures, 4, Te, 6 measures, right? 6 measures here, Bhag, Gan, Te, 6 measures, then Ya, 7, D, 8. After 8, Pub, Ba, Mi is the Bhagana, 1 is the first Garu, Nyang is the second Garu. So after 8 measures, there are Bhagana, Garu, Garu. This is the Apātalika verse. Is that clear for you? Are there any questions?
So, Bhante, may I have one question?
Yes, Bhante.
Like, who? The group. Okay.
Just Bhante.
The last one, we Bhagana and Karu. So
yes.
The last, for example, if there is a lahu at the end, do you still consider that as a Karu?
Yes, Bhante, of course. We consider it as Garu. You can keep lahu at the end because the lahu is automatically considered as Garu.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And yeah, any other questions?
Yes, Bhante.
Yes.
So the second line, we usually consider the lahu at garu, but how about at the end of the first line, we also can consider like that?
Lahu and garu?
Yes, it means I see it usually happen at the end of the second line. It means the number 2, the second line. But my question is it can happen at the end of the first line as we consider the lahu at garu?
Yes, of course. Yes. First line also you can consider lahu as garu. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Every line. Yeah. Okay. So in every line we learned that the Padanta garu, it is Padanta garu, not Addhanta garu. If it is named as Addhanta garu, the heavy syllable which is at the end of the half of the verse, Adda Antagaru, Adda mean half, then you have to consider the ending syllable of the second line as Garu, whether it is short or long. But now we have named this term, we have named this as Pādantagaru. Pada means line. So ending of every line is considered as Garu. So there is not a problem like that. You can consider the ending of the first line also as Garu, always. Almost always. Yeah, so there are no examples given for this verse. So these are the main three verses of the Vetaliya type. Vetaliya, Upachandasaka and Apatarika. The rest of the verses are the variations of Vetaliya itself. So there are no examples. Bhante has mentioned in the footnote that it is very hard to find examples for this and the following meters also, because they are ignored in the literature. They are ignored in the literature. So verses are not composed using these meters. Then the next verse is Dakhinantika, fourth verse. Yadadito Dakhinantika Thitetha Padeswa Kilesu Jo. Yadadito Dakhinantika is the first line. Thitetha Padeswa Kilesu Jo is the second line. Is there any volunteer to recite it?
Oh, so Bhante, maybe I will try.
Okay.
Yadadito Dakhinantika Thitetha Padeswa Kilesu Jo.
Okay, very good. So this is the Dakhinantika verse. The meaning is that when Jagana stands in the beginning position in all the lines of the Vetaliya, it is the Dakhinantika verse. In the Vetaliya verse, I said that these meters, so these verses are variations of Vetaliya verse itself. So in the Vetaliya verse, every line, all four lines at the beginning, there is a Jagana. Then it is named as Dakhinantika verse. Yada dito, yada when. Bhante has given the meaning as when and considered this as the indeclinable yada. Yada when. Adito in the beginning, at the beginning, Dakhinantika, it's called as Dakhinantika. Thita, Thitetta should be separated as Thita, Etta here, Thita, Tito, Etta here, Tito stands. Padesu, Akhilesu should be disjoined as Padesu, Akhilesu. Akhila, we know that the word Akhila is a synonym for sub, all. Akhila, Nikhila, Sabba, Sakala, Samatta, these are same. So Akhilesu, Padesu in all lines. Akhilesu, Padesu in all lines. So let's start from Etta. Here, here can be referred to Vetaliya group. So in this Vetaliya group, Etta, or here can also refer to Vetaliya verse. Here in this Vetaliya verse, when Padesu Akhilesu in all lines, Adito at the beginning, Jo, Jagana, Thito stands. Then it is called as Dakhinantika. So in brief, this verse should be same as Vetaliya verse, like 6-8-6-8 rule is there, and after that 6-8 measures, Ralaga is there, Ragana Lahugaru is there. So Vetaliya structure is here, complete Vetaliya structure is here. In addition to the Vetaliya structure, the first group, or in every line, the first group should be Jagana. That's it. So let's check. First, let's check for Vetali rules. Ya, one measure, da, 3, di, 4, to, 6. You see, 6 measures. Then Dakkinan is the Ragana, Tika is the Lahugaru, Ralaga. Then in the second line, Ti, one measure, Tet, 2 measures, and 3, Th, 4, Pa, 6, De, 8. 8 measures are there. This, 8 measures are there. This. Then Wakile is the Ragana, Sujo, Lahugaru, Ralaga. So you see, Vetali structure is there. You should add another 2 lines here, the third and fourth lines. So then, in addition to those rules, there should be Jagana at the beginning of every line. You see, Yada, Di, Jagana is there at the beginning. In the second line also, Tet, Jagana is there at the beginning. So this is called as Dakkinantika verse. This is completely same as Vetali, but one addition rule is there. So are there any questions? Yes, no questions? Okay, then let's go to the next verse. It is Udicchavutti. Udicchavutti verse. Udicchavutti. Udicchavutti tivucchate jo chado visamesu santito. Udicchavutti tivucchate jo chado visamesu santito. Can some of you recite it? Udicchavutti tivucchate is the first line. Then jo chado visamesu santito is the second line. Udicchavutti tivucchate jo chado visamesu santito. No volunteers?
Bante, I will recite this verse.
Sure. Okay.
Udicca uttiti uccate jo jado visamesu santito.
Okay, very nice. Very good. And please recite this chado as chado because it is long R, right? Long R. So you should recite it as chado. Chado. Okay, the meaning is that if Jagana stands at the beginning in the odd lines, it is called as Udicchavutti. So this is also very easy to understand. In the previous verse, we mentioned that the structure is as same as Vetali verse. 6-8-6-8 rule is there, and then Ralaga rule is there. But the only difference is that there is a Jagana at the beginning of every line. So what happens here is that here also structure is same as Vetaliya, because this is also a variation of Vetaliya verse, and then the Jagana is there in at the beginning of the odd lines only, not all 4 lines, but only in the odd lines. Odd lines are first line and the third line, because we know odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, they are odd numbers, and 2, 4, 6, 8, they are even numbers. So odd lines are the first line and third line. So in those first line and third line, there should be a Jagana at the beginning of the line. But in second line and fourth line, Jagana is not necessary. Jagana is not compulsory, but Jagana can be there. Like if the Jagana is there in the third line, but not in the fourth line, it is still a Udicchavutti verse. Okay, like first line and second line, there are first line and third line. In first line and third line, there are Jaganas, and we call it Udicchavutti. So what if there is a Jagana at the beginning of the third line also? we still call it Udiccavutti. And if there is Jagana in the fourth line also, then that is not Udiccavutti, then we call it Dakhinantika, because we mentioned that if in all lines Jagana is there in the beginning, we call that verse Dakhinantika. So so that's it. This is the Udiccavutti verse. So let's check for the meaning. Udiccavutti iti vucchate. Udiccavutti iti vucchate. That's called as Udiccavutti. Called as Udiccavutti. Udiccavutti iti vucchate. Which is called as Udiccavutti. Jo cha do visamesu santito. Cha. Here cha, indeclinable cha, is given the meaning as if. So sometimes cha means if. This is not actually usual, but sometimes it has a meaning of if, like sache, che. So cha, if the condition is that jo ado visamesu santito. Visamesu in the odd lines, ado at the beginning, jo jagana santito stands. Santito stands. So so this is the Udiccavutti verse. So let's check. First we have to check for the Vetaliya rules, because this is a variation of Vetaliya or derivation of Vetaliya. So here Udicca 4 measures, Vut 6 measures. So after 6 measures, you can observe ti vuch is the ragana, chate lahu garu, ralaga rule is there. In the second line, this 8 measures. After 8 measures, me su san is the ragana, ti lahu to garu, ralaga is also there. So Vetaliya structure is there. And then Udicca, you see in the first line, jagana is there, but in the second line, jo cha do, jagana is not there, it's a magana. So because of that, this is called as Udiccavutti verse. So as in the previous verse, you should add third and fourth lines here, and then in the third line also, jagana should be there at the beginning. Is there any are there any questions? No questions, right? Then next verse is Paccavatti. Next verse of Vetaliya group is Paccavatti. Pubbattha same suche gaja Paccavatti rudite ti santita. Pubbattha same suche gaja Paccavatti rudite ti santita. Is there any volunteer to recite it? Pubbattha samesu che gaja is the first line. Paccavatti rudite ti santita is the second line.
So Bandi, maybe I will recite.
Okay.
Because they all are very shy, so I will do it. Pubbattha samesu che gaja. Sorry. Pubbattha samesu che gaja. Paccavatti rudite di santita.
Okay, very good. So the meaning is, if in the even lines, if in the even lines of the former part, if in the even lines of the former part, for now just take the meaning as if in the former part of even lines, if in the former part of even lines, that means if in the opening of the even lines, at the beginning of even lines, a heavy syllable and a jagana is there. A heavy syllable and a jagana, that means garu, then jagana is there. It is called as Paccavatti. So this is also a derivation of Vuttodaya verse. So a Vuttodaya structure should be there, and in addition to the Vuttodaya structure, there should be one garu and then a jagana at the beginning of even lines, second and fourth lines. Okay, that's it. Pubbattha samesu, in even lines means second and fourth lines, samesu, even lines, pubbattha, in the beginning, pubba tha suffix, in the beginning, or in the opening, or here it is translated as former part. So former part is also the beginning, right? Che, if gaja, garu and jagan is there, paccavotti ruditeti santita, paccavotti rudita iti. Ra is an euphonic consonant, that means it is inserted consonant. Ra. So paccavotti udita, it is called as paccavotti. Paccavotti iti udita, it is called as paccavotti. Santita should be connected at gaja. Gaja santita. Garu and jagana stand. Gaja santita. Garu and jagana stand at the beginning of even lines. So let's check it. Pub, bat, th. Pub, bat, 4 measures, th, 5, sa, 6 measures. And then me, su, che, ragana, gaja, lahu, ralaga, 6 measures, then ralaga are there, Vuttodaya structure. And in the second line, pach, 2, ch, 3, vut, 5, ti, 6, ru, 7, di, 8. After 8 measures, te, ti, san, ragana, tita, lahu, garu. So this is the Vuttodaya structure, and then we have to check for the additional rule, that is in the even lines there should be garu and then jagan at the beginning. You see, pach, cha, vutti. Pach is the garu, cha, vutti is the jagana. Cha, vutti, light, heavy, light, jagana. So after the heavy syllable there is a jagana at the even lines. So this is called as paccavotti verse. Is that clear? Are there any questions?
Yes.
So, Bande.
Go ahead, Sujali.
Okay. So in this verse, you see, this with the Ananda Jyoti Pandit, this profile. You see, it's something. It same like what we saw in the odd line. You see, odd line is after 6 syllables is ragana, right? And nahu garu. Yes. And in the even line is after 8 syllables and 1 heavy and followed by jagana and 1 heavy. But if we don't see that is a heavy syllable, but we take is ragana and followed by lahu and garu. So it's the same, no? As before we learned. It seems like a Vedaniya.
It's Vuttodaya, but the additional rule is that at the beginning of the second line, right here, the profile here, beginning of the second line, there should be, that is something should be there. There should be garu and jagana, yeah. In Vuttodaya verse, that is not necessary. Other measures can also be there, like this can be start with light syllable also in normal Vuttodaya verse, right?
Yes, Mandy. So okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Ryan?
Yes, Bante. So how did you divide the word uditeti again, Bante?
I divided it as udita iti.
So here the Bante Ananda Jyoti said iti is quotation marker. What does that mean, Bante?
That means you should connect iti at Paccavattī. Paccavattī iti as Paccavattī. Like meaning of udita is called, right? So Paccavattī iti udita. It is called as Paccavattī.
Okay, it's very strange. It's easy to move things around. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's strange. It's not good actually, but it has been done because it's very difficult to compose, right? Such verses. Yeah, let's go to the next verse. Pavattaka. Pavattaka verse. Sama samatra dinang sama sangyuta bhavati tang pavattakang. Sama samatra dinang sama sangyuta bhavati tang pavattakang. So sama samatra dinang sama is the first line and sangyuta bhavati tang pavattakang is the second line. So I will go ahead because we have a little bit of time. The meaning is that here, if the even and odd lines are the same as the preceding two and are joined together, it is pavattaka. So that means in this verse, in the pavattaka verse, the even and odd lines, that means the second line and first line, right? And you can also talk about the third and fourth lines also. Even and odd line, just take second and first line are as same as preceding two verses. Preceding two verses are, what are the preceding two verses? Paccavattī, Udiccavutti, right? There are two verses, Paccavattī and Udiccavutti. So even line, so here also there are odd and even lines. Here also there are odd and even lines. So the odd and even lines of Pavattaka verse should be same as the odd and even lines of Udiccavutti and Paccavattī. Okay, so preceding two verses are Udiccavutti and Paccavattī, and then they are joined together. They are joined together to complete a verse. Then it is called as Pavattaka. So I will explain it further. Sama samatra dinang should be separated as sama asama atra adinang. Atra here in this verse, adinang, adi means preceding verses. Adinang of the preceding verses. Sama asama. Sama means even lines. Asama is same as visama, right? Visama and asama are same. So as asama or visama is odd lines. So even lines and odd lines of the preceding verses are sama here, or odd and even lines of the previous verses. Sangyuta, they are joined together here. Bhavati tang pavattakam tang, that verse, pavattakam bhavati, that verse is pavattaka verse. So now there is a question. What is that? Preceding verses are Udiccavutti and Paccavattī. So should we take the, like when we, in order we have to take, like Udiccavutti is the first verse and Paccavattī is the second verse, right? Then you have to take the sama line or even line from Udiccavutti and asama line, odd line from Paccavattī, right? So that is what we can understand from this verse. So if you take like that, it will be wrong, because here one method, one technique is used. Maybe, I'm sure you have heard about the Naya, 40 Nayas, right? 40 Naya. We call it ni leze in Burmese, ni leze. 40
yes,
nayas.
Bhante.
Actually, yeah. Actually, there are about 56 techniques, 56 nayas, but we call it, traditionally we call it knee lazy or 40 nayas. So in those 40 nayas, 40 techniques, the second technique is Paccasanna Naya. Paccasanna Naya. Paccasanna Naya means you count something beginning from the nearest one. When you count something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you don't count it beginning from the first one, like beginning from the beginning one, but you count from the you start from the nearest one to you, like for an example, in a row, I should draw it actually. In a row, let's say in a row, there are 4 people standing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people standing there. And you are the third person. Let's say you are the third person. Let's say you are the fourth person. You are the fourth person. There are 4 people standing. 1, 2, 3, 4. You are the fourth person. Then when you want to talk about the third person, then usually we call the third person as third person, right? Because he's the third person of the row, third person of the line. But if you count beginning from you, he is the first person, right? If you count starting from the nearest one, third person is the first person for you. So that method of counting is called as Paccasanna. You start from the nearest one, not the beginning one. So that is called as Paccasanna. So here also, summer should be taken as taken from the even line should be taken from the nearest verse, and the odd line should be taken from the next verse. Like there are Udicchavutti and Pacchavutti are there. Summer should be taken from Pacchavutti. Visama should be taken from Udicchavutti. Okay, so the summer characteristic of Pacchavutti is that Samesu che gaja, in summer, in even lines, Garu and Jagana should be there and in the beginning. So that is the characteristic of summer verses, summer lines in Pacchavutti. And let's go to the Visama lines of Udicchavutti. Jo chado visamesu santito, in Visama lines. So in odd lines, in the beginning there should be a Jagana. So you see, in first and third lines there should be a Jagana in the beginning. Then second and fourth lines there should be Garu and Jagana in the beginning. So that is the conclusion we can come to. So here let's check it. Samasa. You see, Jagana is there in the beginning. Samasa. Then the rest is same as Vetaliya verse. Okay, I'm not going to check it because of the time limit. And then in the second line, Sang Garu, Yutta Bha is the Jagana. Yutta Bha is the Jagana. Gaja. See, Gaja. Then this the odd line is taken from Udicchavutti and the even line is taken from Pacchavutti. They are joined together and now it is called as Pavattaka. Okay, is that clear for you? It's somewhat it seems to be complex, but actually not complex. You should take the even line from the nearest verse and the odd line from the other verse. Even line from Pacchavutti and odd line from Udicchavutti.
So Bhante.
Yes.
So if someone they didn't study like Linese, so how can they understand this? So maybe they will make an opposite, right?
Yeah. They can. They may make it opposite. So Yeah, nowadays you should have learned it, but I feel like it's something like general knowledge, right? You can count from the beginning and you can count from the nearest one also. So here it is counted beginning from the nearest one. But however, it should be mentioned. So you're right. It should be mentioned. It should be taught to the student. Otherwise, he probably understand it wrongly.
Because when I read this by myself, I didn't notice about the Naya.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, this is it. Even you do not notice about the Naya. Here it is said that this meter is made from the odd line of the Udicchavutti together with the even line of the Pachavutti. So it is mentioned clearly, you should take the odd line from Udicchavutti and even line from Pachavutti. So, but if the problem arises, if someone asks the question, why do you take the odd line from Udicchavutti and even line from Pachavutti? Why don't you take odd line from Pachavutti and even line from Udicchavutti? Then the answer is that here that technique is used. So that's like that. Actually, without the technique also, this can be understood without, as you mentioned, without noticing about the techniques. But the reason to use this method is that such a technique is there in the literature. Okay, actually here also you see in this book there is no mention about those techniques. In the Sinhala book also I read once, that was not mentioned there, and reason was given in another way, in somewhat complex way. But in the Burmese book, I only met it in the Burmese book. In Burmese book, it was mentioned that this is done by using the Pachasana Naya.
That means only the Myanmar sailors, they did all the details.
Yeah, that's why. Actually, I will mention about the Sinhala book also. In Sinhala book, that was there, like you take the Samapada of the, no, I cannot remember well. Samapada of the, somehow something like reversing was done there, but however the Pachasana Naya was not used. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Aparantika. Assa ya samakata parantika. Assa ya samakata parantika. Assa of this verse. Ya, which verse? Samakata, done as same as the sama line or even line. Aparantika, that verse is called as aparantika. This is somewhat difficult to give the meaning. Aparantika is that which is made of the even lines of the Pavattaka. We just finished Pavattaka. So the even line of Pavattaka, we should take the even line of Pavattaka, Garu, Jagana, and the rest is like Vetali verse. So with that even line, you should compose all 4 lines. Then that is called as Aparantika. So obviously this is a Samavutta. All 4 lines are same, not Visamavutta or something, some other type. This is Samavutta. All 4 lines are same. All 4 lines are same. Yeah, but measures here and there can be different also, but the main technique is main structure is same in all 4 lines. Okay, so in the beginning there should be a heavy syllable and then there should be a garu group. and the rest is same as Vetaliya verse. So that is called as Aparantika verse. Okay, are there any questions?
Yeah, hi, Bhante.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but could you please go back to the Pachavuttis? It's the same question. Yes, the division of the word uditeti. So uditeti, we should divide it as the udita iti, right, Bhante? Because
Yes,
here we have to decline it. It's not just udita, we have to decline it, and it has to be in the nominative case, right, Bhante?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but it's just because in the explanation of Bhante Ananda Jyoti, he just wrote it as udita.
Udita. Yeah, udita. I also noticed that, but it should be udita, as from my understanding, because it is feminine gender, right?
Yeah.
Pachavutti. Yeah. Feminine gender, nominative case. So it should be udita.
Yeah.
And then the a vowel is elided, and e becomes a.
E, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, the last verse of the group is Charubhasini. Charubhasini. Aparantika is finished. And the last verse is Charubhasini. We call it Charuhasini also. Charuhasini. In Burmese books, it's Charuhasini. In Sanskrit books also, the name Charuhasini is there. So both are correct, right? Charubhasini and Charuhasini both are correct. That's just the name of the verse. So Tadanyaja Charuhasini. Tadanyaja Charuhasini. Charubhasini. I would also recite it as Charubhasini. Tadanyaja Charubhasini. Charubhasini is produced from the other line in Pavattaka. So we learned that Aparantika, in Aparantika, all 4 lines are made from the even line of Pavattaka verse. Here, all 4 lines are made by the odd lines of Pavattaka verse. That means in Pavattaka verse, the odd lines are beginning with the Jagana. So here also Jagana should be there. Tadanya, you see, Tadanya, Jagana is there, and the rest of the line is as same as odd lines of Vetaliya verse. That is, in other words, 6 measures are there. After those 6 measures, Ragana, Lahu, Garu are there. Ta, Danya, 4 measures, Ja, 6 measures, then Charu, Bha is the Ragana, Sini, Lahu, Garu. So this is the Charu Bhasini verse. Charu Bhasini verse. Yeah. The opposite of what you call Aparantika. In Aparantika, all 4 lines are made by even lines. In Charubhasini, all 4 lines are made by using odd lines of the Pavattaka verse. Yeah, are there any questions? No questions, right? Then let's wind up our discussion for today, because there is a ceremony now. Vassa, like observing Vassa, 8 o'clock here. So let's wind up our discussion by reciting Buddha Sasanam Chirang Tithatu. Buddha Sasanam Chirang Tithatu. Buddha Sasanam Chirang Tithatu. Buddha Sasanam Chirang Tithatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you all for participating.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.